What if I told you that Scotland's most photographed castle is sitting on top of a graveyard of witches? That there's an entire city buried beneath Edinburgh's streets where people were sealed and alive? And that the world's most famous fictional wizard was named after a gravestone standing in a churchyard full of real corpses? This isn't folklore. This is Edinburgh. And what's hiding beneath it is darker than anything in the books. Edinburgh, a city built on 7 hills, layered with 1,000 years of siege, plague, execution, and legend. Above ground, it looks like a postcard. But underneath it, literally underneath, is a second city sealed away and half forgotten. And scattered through its streets are the real places believed to have inspired one of the best-selling book series in history. Let's start with the castle. Edinburgh Castle sits on top of an extinct volcano, a natural fortress that made it nearly impossible to take by force, which is exactly why, for over 1,000 years, it became the most fought-over building in Scotland. Historians count at least 26 sieges here, making it one of the most besieged castles in the world. Armies bled for this rock, and a lot of what happened inside its walls was never meant to be remembered. Just outside the castle gates, on a stretch of cobblestone called the Castle Hill, something far darker than any siege took place. Between the 1500s and 1700s, Scotland executed more accused witches per capita than almost anywhere else in Europe, and Edinburgh was ground zero. Hundreds of women were strangled and burned right here, often after being tortured into false confessions. Today, a small iron fountain on the castle wall, the Witch's Well, marks the spot. Most tourists walk right past it without knowing what happened there. Deep inside the castle rock are vaults that held prisoners of war for centuries. French soldiers from the Napoleonic Wars, American sailors captured during the Revolution. Some carved their names, ships, and dates into the wooden doors, graffiti that's still visible today. Conditions were brutal. Overcrowded, freezing, barely lit. Some prisoners never left. And visitors today say the air in those vaults still feels wrong. Edinburgh Castle is considered one of the most haunted places in Scotland. Guards have long reported a headless drummer boy appearing before major sieges, a warning, some say, of disaster to come. Others report the sound of a phantom piper. Legend says a young piper was once sent into a secret tunnel connecting the castle to Holyrood Palace, a mile away, playing his pipes so people above could track his progress underground. Halfway through, the music stopped. He was never found. Some say you can still hear him playing deep beneath the city, forever lost in the dark. Now let's go beneath the city itself. Under Edinburgh's Royal Mile lies Mary King's Close, a real street with real houses buried and sealed for centuries. In the 1600s, this was a working street where families lived and worked, stacked into narrow stone tenements. When plague swept through the city, legend says the sick were walled in and left behind, though historians debate exactly how much of that is true. What's certain is that the street was eventually built over. The tops of the old buildings became the foundation for a new city chamber above. The close was left almost exactly as it was, frozen underground, and wasn't reopened to the public until the 2000s. A few streets away, under South Bridge, is another hidden network, vaults built into the bridge's 19 arches in the 1780s. They were meant to be shops and storage. But flooding and poor conditions drove out legitimate business, and the vaults became something else entirely. A hidden home for the city's poorest, and reportedly a hideout for criminal activity. They were sealed up and forgotten for over a century, only rediscovered in the 1980s. Filled with debris, and according to many paranormal investigators, filled with something else too. Not far from the vaults sits Greyfriars Kirkyard, home to what many paranormal researchers call one of the most documented hauntings in the world. Since the 1990s, hundreds of visitors to the Covenanters prison area have reported being scratched, bruised, even knocked unconscious near the tomb of Sir George Mackenzie, a judge infamous for persecuting religious prisoners in the 1600s. The reports were so frequent that the mausoleum was eventually locked, and today it's only opened for guided tours, with visitors required to sign in before entering. But Greyfriars Kirkyard has another claim to fame. Walk through it, and you'll find a real, centuries-old gravestone for a man named Thomas Riddell. J.K. Rowling used to write in a small café nearby overlooking the graveyard, and many believe that gravestone inspired the name of Harry Potter's greatest enemy. It doesn't stop there. Just down the hill, the curved, colorful shopfronts of Victoria Street are widely believed to have inspired Diagon Alley, and towering over the graveyard itself is a real historic school, with turrets, hidden stairways, and 4 houses, said to be one of the strongest visual inspirations for Hogwarts. It's a strange thing to sit with, that the same graveyard haunted by one of the world's most aggressive poltergeists may have given a boy wizard his villain's name. That the same city that burned women as witches also became the birthplace of modern magic in fiction. Edinburgh doesn't separate its beauty from its darkness. It builds them on top of each other, literally. Castle over volcano, city over city, legend over grave. So next time you see a photo of Edinburgh Castle glowing on its hill, remember what's underneath it: sealed streets, forgotten prisoners, and the echoes of a piper who never came back. Remember what's buried in its graveyards, both the real dead and the fictional legends they inspired. Edinburgh doesn't just have history, it has layers, and some of them are still open. If this journey beneath Edinburgh fascinated you, subscribe, because next time we go even deeper.